Hi, I'm Richard Karn, and you may have seen me on TV talking about the world's #1 expandable garden hose. Well, the brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead with Pocket Pivot is here, and it's a total game changer. Old-fashioned hoses get kinks and creases at the spigot, but the Copperhead's Pocket Pivot swivels 360 degrees for full water flow and freedom to water with ease all around your home. When you're all done, this rust-proof anti-burst hose shrinks back down to pocket size for effortless handling and tidy storage. Plus, your super light and ultra-durable Pocket Hose Copperhead is backed with a 10-year warranty. What could be better than that? I'll tell you what, an exciting radio-exclusive offer just for you. For a limited time, you can get a free Pocket Pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size Copperhead hose. Just text WATER to 64,000. That's WATER to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. WATER to 64,000.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Pocket Hose. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at pockethose.com/terms.
Hey, all you true crime fans. This is Mike Ferguson.
And this is Mike Morford.
And we'd like to invite you to listen to our podcast, Criminology.
Launched in 2017, we've covered a variety of strange cases from murders to missing persons.
We dive into a variety of cases in both the U.S. and abroad.
Some of the cases are ones you may not have heard of, like the Pocatello babysitter murders or the Canal murders.
Other cases we cover are some of the most historic in true crime, like the Tylenol murders and the Lindbergh kidnapping. We also dive into cases that are currently breaking thanks to DNA and forensic genealogy.
Sometimes you'll hear from people connected to the cases, like the interview we did with the brother-in-law of the Golden State Killer, Joseph D'Angelo.
There are 200 episodes of Criminology available to binge on right now, including full seasons covering the Zodiac Killer, the Golden State Killer, and Ted Bundy, and new episodes come out every Saturday night.
Subscribe to Criminology today, wherever you listen to your podcast.
You're listening to Missing Persons, brought to you by AbJack Entertainment. Be sure to check out some of the other great true crime podcasts from this network, including The Murder in My Family, DNA ID, Scene of the Crime, Zodiac Speaking,
Beyond Bizarre True Crime,
and
Citizen Detective.
all of these podcasts are available for you to binge on right now, wherever you listen to podcasts. Subscribe where you're listening to this podcast so you don't miss an episode.
The views and opinions expressed by guests on this podcast do not necessarily represent those of the podcast, its creators, or sponsors. If you would like to discuss a missing persons case on this podcast, please be sure to visit missingpersonspodcast.net. This episode may contain unsettling or disturbing subject matter. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to Missing Persons, a podcast dedicated to spreading the word about people who have vanished under mysterious or unexplained circumstances, and the family members who are looking for answers. I'm Jess Betancourt.
And I'm Mike Morford. Together we created this podcast to help give a voice to people who continue to search for their missing loved ones, in some cases even after decades have gone by. In each episode, you'll hear from Jess giving listeners the backstory and the basic facts of the disappearance.
Then Mike will speak with someone who's intimately connected to the missing person, and his guest will share their story with us.
Please stay tuned at the conclusion of this episode to hear about our Patreon program and our commitment to help find people who have gone missing. We'll also share with you where you can find more information and how you can join our team and help our efforts. You'll get recommendations for other podcasts we think you'll enjoy, and more.
So sit back and enjoy this episode, and who knows, maybe you can help us find someone who's missing. Episode 56, Matthew Braswell. On December 17, 2021, 29-year-old Matthew Braswell was last seen off Ponder Road in Smithville, Tennessee, near Nashville. That day, Matthew was riding in a 2006 Chevy Tahoe with a buddy, 26-year-old Danny Phillips of McMinnville, who was driving. The two men were spotted by a Ponder Road resident standing at his mailbox and going through his mail. The man called police and with 911 on the phone confronted the two, who jumped into the Tahoe and sped off. But the Tahoe almost immediately careened into the tree line directly across from the home where they had been going through the mailbox, and it smashed into several trees. The two occupants jumped out and ran into the woods. Police summoned to the scene arrived quickly and entered the woods in pursuit of Matthew and Danny. Danny was unable to go far and was quickly captured, but Matthew was nowhere to be seen. According to WJLE, Danny was transported by DeKalb County EMS to Ascension St. Thomas DeKalb Hospital and later taken to Vanderbilt Medical Center, so his injuries must have been quite significant. Meanwhile, searches continued for Matthew. In the woods about a half-mile from the crash site, searchers located his white and gray jacket, which had a small amount of blood on it. But Matthew has never been found. Was Matthew injured in the crash as well, accounting for the blood on his jacket? Why would he take his jacket off? And where did he go? As I mentioned, ground searches for Matthew were conducted. Concerns were that he was injured, possibly incoherent, and needed medical attention. The Smith County Sheriff's Department's K-9 unit searched the area for Matthew with no success. A Tennessee Highway Patrol chopper conducted an aerial search, but there remained no sign of Matthew. DeKalb County Sheriff Patrick Ray said of the jacket's location, quote, "It was close to the highway, so we're not sure if he's gotten to a phone to call somebody to pick him up and take him away from the crash site, or if he is still in the woods somewhere." It seems impossible that the latter would be the case given the amount of searching that's gone on. On February 5th of this year, the DeKalb County Sheriff's Department, as well as other supporting agencies, conducted a thorough search of the area, utilizing both cadaver and tracking dogs and drones that were flown overhead to try to locate Matthew or his trail. The tracking dogs barely picked up a scent and lost it very quickly. No trace of Matthew was found. Matthew has been entered into the National Crime Information Center (NCIC) database as a missing person. Sheriff Ray confirmed that they have categorized Matthew's case as a missing persons case, but he acknowledged that Matthew is the subject of outstanding warrants in Tennessee. Matthew apparently had no fixed address, but he did have a fiancée of 8 years, a Kimberly Hunter, who goes by Kim. Kim said that Matthew has not been in contact with her at all, and this is extremely unusual. She said that he has had previous run-ins with police, but he has never failed to stay in contact with her. According to an interview Kim gave to a local TV news station, Kim shared access to Matthew's iPhone. So when he first went missing, she was able to ping his location. She says that it pinged at a cemetery near the crash site, and that the password has now been reset, so she no longer has access to the phone. But Teresa Callis, Matthew's mother, who is our guest today, says this is not the case. She has proof in the form of texts and voicemails from Kim that, in fact, Kim is in possession of Matthew's phone after it was retrieved from the wrecked Tahoe at the tow lot. Police questioned Kim about whether she had the phone, and she denied it. Why she would be lying about this is unclear. But Matthew, having left the phone in the truck, undercuts the theory that he could have called someone for a ride or arranged a pickup spot. It seems there are only two options for Matthew's current whereabouts. He is somewhere in the wooded area he ran into, which includes a large body of water and hilly, dense terrain, or he made it to the highway and flagged down a passing vehicle. His mother, Teresa, seems to feel that the latter option is unlikely. Matthew was very close with his mother and sister, who has given birth to a baby in his absence. He would never voluntarily remain out of contact with them. Unfortunately, Teresa does not feel that her son's case has been given the attention it merits from police. She believes that because Matthew was on parole and had a history of drug use, police have been less inclined to make his disappearance a priority. There are rumors swirling about someone having killed Matthew and so on, but it's hard to fathom how that could have happened if he ran into the woods phoneless and, as far as anyone knows, never came out. Matthew Braswell was last seen wearing jeans and possibly a white tank top. He is 6 feet tall and weighs 150 pounds. His hair and eyes are brown, and he has facial tattoos with a money sign over his right eye and the name Kim over his left eye. If you have seen Matthew or know of his whereabouts, call the Tennessee Highway Patrol at 423-954-2130. Mike Morford sat down to talk with Teresa Callis, Matthew's mother, for missing persons. That conversation is coming up after a word from our sponsors.
Hi, I'm Richard Karn, and you may have seen me on TV talking about the world's #1 expandable garden hose. Well, the brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead with Pocket Pivot is here, and it's a total game changer. Old-fashioned hoses get kinks and creases at the spigot, but the Copperhead's Pocket Pivot swivels 360 degrees for full water flow and freedom to water with ease all around your home. When you're all done, this rust-proof anti-burst hose shrinks back down to pocket size for effortless handling and tidy storage. Plus, your super light and ultra-durable Pocket Hose Copperhead is backed with a 10-year warranty. What could be better than that? I'll tell you what, an exciting radio-exclusive offer just for you. For a limited time, you can get a free Pocket Pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size Copperhead hose. Just text WATER to 64,000. That's WATER to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. WATER to 64,000.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Pocket Hose. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at pockethose.com/terms.
Do you obsess over cold cases?
Do you go down endless rabbit holes on online forums, searching for clues to solve your pet case?
Are you an armchair sleuth? If so, we'd like to invite you to check out our new podcast, Citizen Detective.
I'm Mike Morford.
I'm Nama Cates.
And I'm Dr. Lee Meller. We work hand in hand with citizen detectives just like you to examine some of the most puzzling unsolved mysteries out there.
Citizen Detective is out right now, and new episodes drop every other Saturday.
Subscribe now so you don't miss a single episode of Citizen Detective. Hi, Teresa, and thank you for coming on to talk about your missing son, Matthew Braswell.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure to have you here and hopefully spread the word about his case, that it's still unsolved, he's still missing, and hopefully we can get you some answers or help spread the word to someone that has the answers.
Yes,
you know, as a parent, I can't imagine how tough this last, over 6 months now has been for you.
It's been, I can't even describe the feeling. Basically, it's like somebody's just ripped my heart out, and the not knowing, not knowing anything is that, it will literally drive you crazy.
I've talked to a lot of parents of both, people that have lost a child or people who have missing children. And I always hear that, the missing, you don't have any answers. And some of the parents of people that have lost children to like a murder or something, they always seem to feel sorry for the parents of missing people because, as tough it is to have an answer that's a negative one, they feel for the parents of people that don't have any answer about what happened to their child. So I think it's a difficult situation to be in for sure.
Yeah, well, I lost my youngest daughter 4 years ago also. She was only 20 and had epilepsy, and she had a seizure in the shower and drowned.
Oh.
And as hard as that was, we knew what happened, and, but with this, we have no clue. And I'm not getting any help as far as the police go. I'll be honest with you.
And I'm imagining that this is like something every day you wake up and it's probably the first thing you think of every day. Where's my son at?
If I sleep, I might get 2 hours sleep a night, and here past 2 months, every time I go to sleep, I have nightmares, terrible nightmares.
That's got to be very, very difficult to deal with. And you mentioned you don't feel like you're getting all the help you can. We're going to talk about the whole investigation and some of the details around this. But before we get into the case and what happened, can you tell us a little bit about Matthew and what was going on in his life at the time he went missing? Okay,
Matthew, he's 29 years old. He'll be 30 July 28th. And Matthew has made mistakes in the past. He's been on drugs before, and he's had problems with that. And he's got charges, past charges, but he's never, ever had any kind of violent charge. He's, nothing like that. And to be honest with you, that boy has the biggest heart of anyone I've ever met in my life. He's the type that will take a shirt off his back and help a stranger if it will help them, or his last dollar if it'll buy them a hamburger. He's that type person. And now he is on probation, which is, nothing new, but he is on probation. He has violated it, but he knew what he was looking at and has accepted that. And I believe that's why there's not been much attention given to him. I feel like the past charges and everything.
So you almost feel as if maybe because he had a record, he had some run-ins, that he was looked at. If this was someone with a squeaky clean reputation, their case might have been handled differently.
Oh, definitely.
Well, let's go back to that day when your son went missing. This was in December 2021. How did you find out that Matthew was missing?
Okay. First of all, I didn't find out. Well, me and his sister didn't find out till my daughter found out 2 days later. I found out 3 days later. That's when the girlfriend finally told us. The day of December 17th is when they say he went missing. Now, the last time any of us spoke to him was December 15th. He had called my daughter and asked her to cash app him $20 for gas. And, I never understood why she waited. I think if I was in her shoes, the first call would be to me and his sister. I never understood that.
And so he went missing on the 17th. How quickly did his girlfriend know that he was missing?
Apparently as soon as it happened. She told, the thing is, I've caught her in so many lies, and I hate to even put this out there like that, but I feel like it needs to be known. And she apparently, she told me, here's what she told me, that my son was riding with another boy, and they was on Ponder Road in Smithville, and caught going through a man's mailbox. Now, the man apparently was on the phone and come outside with, had the police on the phone, like anyone would. And I'm told they took off. The guy driving took off, hit some trees, wrecked the truck pretty bad. And then supposedly they both got out and tried to run. They got the guy driving very close to the wreck. He was hurt. And he told that the last he saw of my son was he was running toward the woods, and he kept going. The police told me they found a yellow and gray jacket about a half a mile from the accident scene with a smudge of blood on it. And they said it was Matthew's. And personally, I've never known him to wear anything but black or blue jackets, hoodies, As far as I know, they've not done any kind of DNA on the jacket. And, after she finally called and told us about it, I asked her, have you filed has a missing person report been filed? And she said, no. I said, I'll be up there early tomorrow morning to do this. And the next morning I called her at 8 o'clock, and she said, I'm already here. I'm filing it now. So she jumped up, went and did it.
Let me just pause here for a second. So basically, she does this missing persons report because you basically were going to get involved or urged her to do it, whatever. She finally did it. I'm curious, when the police came out on the scene and they're they find the truck wrecked, they go looking in the woods, they find this other guy, Danny Phillips, that was with Matthew. They don't find Matthew himself. Did they go around looking right then and do some kind of search right then? Would that result in them doing their own missing person search for him without the need for a report?
Now, see, the day of the accident, she told me that they brought the dogs out, canine, and that the canine followed his scent all the way to Cookville Highway, which is a pretty good sized highway near there. So that had me thinking, well, he must have got a ride, Well, when I talked to the detective, he said, no, ma'am. He said, we barely picked up a scent and we lost it as soon as we picked it up due to it was pouring down rain. So the whole story about following it to Cookville Highway would never happened. Now, but Tennessee Highway Patrol was there that day. They had a helicopter, did an aerial search. They did a ground search. I'm not sure how much of one. And then I think on the following Monday, they went back with another helicopter and did another, small search right there. And then on February the 5th, they called in some other nearby police to help with a search. And they did one more search with the helicopters with Rutherford County in Tennessee has supposedly the best canine unit there is. They had them out there and nothing. They found nothing. And before that search, they actually went to her house and asked if, something that belonged to Matthew to let the dog, get the scent or however they do that. And she said she gave them an old pair of Matthew's shoes. They said they saw nothing at all.
I was going to say, they did do a couple different types of searches in that area. Which search did they find his jacket on? Was that the very first time they were out looking for him right after the accident?
Right after the accident, yeah.
Okay. And can you describe this area for listeners, how big it is? What kind of, is it rugged? Is it woods? Are there mountains or streams, or what's this area like?
Yeah, it's in a mountainous area. There's a place called Center Hill Lake and Dam that's there. And the road they were supposedly on, it runs, I pulled it up on Google Earth, and it, when you go up the road, on both sides of the road are just straight drop-offs. You know what I mean? It go through a little bit of wooded area. Different spots. Small wooded area. And then it drops straight down into like two smaller rivers that flow into Center Hill. So, there's so much water around that area, different streams and rivers that, and stuff that runs into Center Hill. And Center Hill is known to be several hundred feet deep.
Okay. So there is a lot of places in that area where something could have happened to Matthew and it might make it hard to find him?
Yeah, I didn't understand why they haven't searched the water at all. That's kind of what I would think to do. I don't know.
And you mentioned, you touched on it a little earlier, you feel like the police aren't helping as much as they can. Is that part of it, that they won't do water searches and things like that? What else are you sort of running into?
It's not just that. The detective that's assigned to the case, he first time I ever spoke to him, he was very short with me. And I said, if you would, I said, could you please put me down as the first contact? You know, if Matthew's found, if anything is found, I'm his mother, I'm his next of kin. And he said, I'm not getting in the middle of you and the girlfriend and y'all, what he call it, squabble, which we wasn't having a squabble. I just, asked to be, as his mother, to be contacted above anyone. And I don't know, there's been a lot of times I've left him messages. I call a lot to see if there's been any updates, or if I hear on the news that there's been a body found, I'll freak out and I call and leave messages. And he's returned maybe one of my calls, two of my calls maybe. Also, she says on the news, and she told me from the get-go, she said that she called me. It was about a week after he went missing. And she said, I've got Matthew's phone. I said, how did you get Matt's phone? She said, well, it was in the wreck. It was still in the truck. And some friends, people we know, went and jumped the fence at the tow lot, at the impound lot, and found his phone in that truck and brought it to me. Okay. And I said, please turn that over to that detective. She said, no. I said, Kim, why not? And she said, there's stuff in that phone that would get him a lot of, some bad stuff that would get him time and in jail. And I was like, so what? That's beside the point. We need to find Matthew. And she absolutely refused. And I said, well, what? Tell me this. I said, if it comes down to him possibly not being here no more, don't you think the police should have that phone? He said, no, I don't. Okay. So, close friend of my son's called and left a tip that she had the phone. The DA and the detective called her and questioned her about the phone. She told them she don't have it, and that was that.
So they sort of dropped it and didn't give her a hard time about her claims that she had it?
You're right. They did. I don't know how long they questioned her or anything. But, she told me, if they question me again, I'm going to lawyer up, is what she said. Now, about a month later, I'd been talking to her, and that friend of my son's had been talking to her. And I've got proof. I've got messages. I've got in her voice that she has his phone. And I called the detective and told him this. He said, send me what you have. And also the friends has stuff like this. And we both sent him all the information, and he never, ever responded to either one of us.
And that's troubling. Troubling if that phone's out there someplace, it could have some clues.
Yeah, she's hiding it for a reason. There's got to be. She told me in the beginning, please don't tell nobody I've got it. And I was like, will you let me have it? She said no. Then she said there was stuff in it that could also get her in trouble.
So maybe she's protecting herself too?
I think she's, I think whatever has happened to my son is something's in that phone that would, in my opinion, incriminate her. She, in the beginning, she told me about, I was like, where's all of Matthew's, his belongings? Oh, they're all here. And she told my daughter the same thing. And then 3 months ago, I asked her again, and she said, oh, he don't have nothing here. All he has here is a coloring book, a worn-out pair of socks, and an old worn-out pair of shoes. And I know my son, he always has all kinds of stuff, audio equipment, cars, everything. And then a month and a half ago to 2 months ago, a girl was actually at her house and called my niece and told her that his girlfriend, Kim, had somebody come over and break a lock off of a little shed they had, and was taking pictures of my son's motorcycle that was inside the building.
So there was stuff there.
Yeah, exactly. And a 2006 Altima in the driveway that he had just purchased not long at all before he went missing.
Hi, I'm Richard Karn, and you may have seen me on TV talking about the world's #1 expandable garden hose. Well, the brand new Pocket Hose Copperhead with Pocket Pivot is here, and it's a total game changer. Old-fashioned hoses get kinks and creases at the spigot, but the Copperhead's Pocket Pivot swivels 360 degrees for full water flow and freedom to water with ease all around your home. When you're all done, this rust-proof anti-burst hose shrinks back down to pocket size for effortless handling and tidy storage. Plus, your super light and ultra-durable Pocket Hose Copperhead is backed with a 10-year warranty. What could be better than that? I'll tell you what, an exciting radio-exclusive offer just for you. For a limited time, you can get a free Pocket Pivot and their 10-pattern sprayer with the purchase of any size Copperhead hose. Just text WATER to 64,000. That's WATER to 64,000 for your 2 free gifts with purchase. WATER to 64,000.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Pocket Hose. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at pockethose.com/terms.
If we can, I just want to talk about the cell phone a little bit more. It's been reported, and I don't know how much of this is what Matthew's girlfriend has claimed or if this came out from some of the police release, but it's been reported one way or another that there was a password was changed on his phone. I'm curious, do you know about that? How would, if it was his girlfriend that said this, how would she know that if she didn't have the phone? Wouldn't she have to know that the password changed by having the phone?
Yeah, exactly. She told me that, she on the news, when they did her news show, she told them that his phone was last pinged at a cemetery or something. And she said that something had been, I think that's where she said the password had been changed. And all this and that. And it's an iPhone. And I was told that iPhone, you can't delete. There's stuff you cannot delete. It stays in there. And I think that's why she's sitting on that phone. She doesn't want to give it up.
Yeah. And it's troubling. And I am curious, too, about the mention of pinging. Is it accurate that it pinged in that area? Do you know?
No, I think what she said. She's got phone. She has the phone. I've got text messages. I think I still have voice messages on Messenger where you can record a message instead of type it. I've got those, and the other friend does too. We both do.
Yeah, but phone.
The detective didn't respond. You just have to.
It seems like the phone may hold some clues of some sort.
Oh, yeah. It seems to me like it holds a lot of clues. It's got to, or she wouldn't be so good set on keeping it here. Now, I want to add also, 2 weeks after he went missing, I got a phone call one day at 11 o'clock in the morning. It was her, and which she never calls me, But it was her, and she said, I just wanted to let you know before you hear it somewhere else. There's a rumor going around town that my sister killed Matthew. And I was like, what? What do you mean? She said, well, the detective said he saw it on Facebook. So he called me and asked me if Matthew had ever come home. And then he said that he was going to try to get the U.S. Marshals involved in it. And apparently, I think they went and questioned the sister one time. And that's as far as it went.
Oh. And talking about the guy, Danny Phillips, that was in the car with Matthew that day, has he been cooperative? Does he have any ideas where Matthew might have gone or where Matthew might be?
I'm not sure if the police, I'm sure, I think that they questioned him maybe one time. But as far as me, I don't know the guy, and I was told my son didn't know him very well. But he had just gotten out of prison not too long ago. But I messaged him myself, and I was, as any mother would be, I was very hurt and crying, but I was as sweet as I could be to him. And he come back and was so hateful and said such nasty things to me that, it was really hurtful. And I never understood that. And the sister that was said to have killed Matthew did the same thing to me. She talked to me real bad and said that she got on Facebook, told everybody, where I was posting flyers. She told everyone that I've already been told, that they had already told me he is fine and that all I'm doing is trying to get him locked up and stuff like that is what she said.
So making it sound like he was hiding out someplace and you were bringing attention to him to be found when that would only result in him going to jail?
Yeah, she told everyone that I was basically trying to hunt him down to put him in jail.
Oh, jeez. And was there any truth to that? Did they tell you at any point that he's okay and he's hiding someplace or anything like that?
No. Mm-hmm. The police, at first, that detective told me he was leaning toward thinking that Kim knew where he was at and he was hiding. But here's the thing. My son and I raised my kids alone. Their father left when they was young, maybe 3 and 4 years old. And my son, he's the type, not only would he get me Mother's Day cards, but on Father's Day, he would get me something. Because he said, Mom, not only are you my mother, you're my daddy too.
So you don't think he'd stay away from you without contacting you?
Never, ever. And not to mention, he's got a sister that's just 1 year older than him, and they're very close. And she's since had a baby, and, he's never missed a birthday. He's never missed, even if he was in trouble or if he was messed up on dope and whatever the case may be, he would never stay away from us and not contact us.
And along those lines, let's just say, for instance, he was out there and he was hiding. He was afraid he was going to get in trouble. Do you know what kind of trouble he's facing? I mean, how much time would he be looking at? Maybe it's not even as serious as he might think it is. And maybe if he heard, what time he'd actually be facing if he was out there, maybe he'd come forward.
Well, he knows pretty much what he's violated. He knows he would have to maybe go to jail for a year or so.
Yeah.
But he's done that. I mean, that's no problem with him at all. But even, there's been times in the past when he was we thought he was looking at serious time. And he did, he went and stayed with a friend, but he made sure that there were certain people, me, my daughter, he would allow to know where he was at, and he always kept his phone. He's never, I can't see him just taking off and not taking no clothes, no nothing. I can't even see him taking his jacket off. It was winter. None of it makes sense.
Well, along those lines, there's been different theories and rumors, things people throw out there that, maybe Matthew got hurt after that accident and he went out in the woods hiding and he died because it was really cold. It was still wintertime. There's another theory that maybe the police, when they were out there looking, found Matthew and they got into an altercation with him and he got hurt and died and they covered it up. I mean, these are just things probably with no proof of any of these things, but do any of these scenarios seem like possibilities to you, or do you have any other theories of your own, maybe, of what happened?
They do. I have thought about both, all of that. And I think it's all possible. And like I said, the way that drops off into the water, I thought, he could have gotten hurt and been running and didn't even see the drop off. But at the same time, he's a good swimmer. So unless he was really just unconscious when he fell, the fact that his girlfriend has hid so much and lied, so I've got so I'm not erasing none of my messages from then till now. And also, a good friend of hers told me the other day, we was talking, and she said Kim doesn't talk to her anymore either, which is strange. She said, but she called me back at night. She said, Teresa, something's bothering me. She said, it never really dawned on me before. She said, but when Matthew disappeared, Kim told her that Matthew had exactly $3,485 in his pocket. That's not something he tells even her.
Yeah, it's an odd thing to know, and the odd amount to know that right down to that dollar.
To the last dollar. I mean, that doesn't make sense. I feel like she's hiding something, and now she's completely stopped. She will not speak to me or my daughter at all. We have tried nicely, I've not been mean to her. I've not been hateful. I've begged her to talk to me. We need to stand together on this. We need to find him. Even if it's bad, I need to find my baby boy and bring him home. And she won't respond at all.
It's got to be very frustrating to not have all the help, whether it's from her or whether you think the police can do more than they're doing. To not have that help's got to be very frustrating for you.
Yeah, it is. And the thing about it, I don't understand how, I told you the last time we actually spoke to him was the 15th. And he had called my daughter and asked her to send him $20 on Chime, which is a bank account that they share. They both have one, because he was out of gas. I don't know how he would go from being out of gas to having $3,485 in his pocket. And someone else, another guy that he knows, that said he had seen him, around that time. And my son was urgently trying to make money. He don't know why. He said he acted like he was urgently having to make a good size amount of money.
Maybe, and again, just speculation, but maybe he owed someone money and he was afraid they would harm him. Do you know if there's anyone he had problems with, anyone he owed money to, anyone that might have been after him?
Well, normally everyone loves Matthew. He usually doesn't have any enemies at all. He's just that type person. He can get along with anyone. But last week, a friend of mine went to jail here in the county I'm in now, Rutherford County, Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And he said that a man is in there by the name of Michael Brown. And he told him that he's from Smithville, which is where supposedly it happened. He said he's from Smithville, and he had received some drug charges, and that's why he's here in jail. But he told my friend that he got my son a place to stay here in Murfreesboro with some of his close friends for a few days. And then he said that while my son was staying with them, that he took off in the middle of the night and stole some marijuana from them, I believe it was. And took off in the middle of the night. And then the guy said little Braz didn't deserve what they did to him. That's his nickname. That I haven't put that on his flyers. You know, it's just that's what caught my attention. And then there's another guy in jail that said he heard Matt's dead.
So it's got to be tough to hear all this stuff, but not have any solid answers or any evidence of anything to try and help find Matthew.
Yeah, and the close friends that guy was talking about live literally a mile and a half from my mother's house, where I'm at right now. I mean, it's right down the road. So, and my daughter went by there the other night, and the guy there's 3 people that live on the property. There's a lady that has, I think, 2 little like trailers or campers that she rents out. The one guy just got busted for a large amount of drugs about 4 days ago, and he went to jail. His girlfriend told my son-in-law that, yes, Matthew stayed with them a while back. And that's all she said. The lady that supposedly owns the place said that my son was living on Hippie Hill. That's there's a place in Murfreesboro they call Hippie Hill because it's basically what it is. Hippies live there, and come to find out, they closed that down a little bit less than a year ago. So there's no one there, no more.
It's got to be frustrating to hear all these different theories and rumors and things like that, and not have any solid answers to help you find yourself.
Yeah.
Wow.
It seems to me like right now, when they've got so many people that could be, people are saying little bits and pieces. It looks like now would be the time to question them, to get some answers.
Well, let's hope that people in that area especially hear this podcast and they'll share it on social media and get the word out there. We're going to do our part to get the word out that Matthew's still missing, and hopefully help you get some answers. And I want to thank you for coming on to share his story with us.
I want to thank you so much for doing this. I'm praying that it reaches the right person. Somebody's got to know something.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Missing Persons. If you can provide any information to help solve the case we discussed in this episode, please contact the appropriate authorities.
If you enjoy this podcast, please take a moment to tell your friends about Missing Persons and invite them to listen to the show. Word of mouth will help us grow and bring these cases to a larger audience. You can also help us by taking a moment to rate and review Missing Persons on the platform you're listening to us now on.
We'd like to tell you a little bit about our Patreon program. If you visit patreon.com/missingpodcast, you can sign up to help this podcast through ongoing monthly support. As a thank you, we'll give you an on-air shout-out, a thank you card and sticker, plus you'll get early access to ad-free episodes of the show and any bonus content.
Your Patreon support also goes towards helping the missing, because every dollar that we earn through Patreon will be split with charlieproject.org, the wonderful website that's been sharing information about so many missing persons cases for years. We hope you'll consider supporting the show. Just a reminder that new episodes of Missing Persons air every other Saturday. If you want to find us on social media, you can search Facebook for Missing Persons Podcast. And we're also on Twitter with the handle @missing_pod. And of course, you can find us on our website, missingpersonspodcast.net. On behalf of Jess Betancourt, this is Mike Morford saying thanks, and we'll see you next time on Missing Persons.
Missing Persons is produced under the name AbJack Entertainment by Mike Morford and Jessica Betancourt. It's hosted and edited by Mike Morford, with research and writing by Jessica Betancourt. Be sure to listen every other Saturday for an all-new episode of Missing Persons.